Okay, stock trade ideas. If you guys are looking for technical analysis and trade ideas, you've come to the right place. Let's get right into the charts. Okay, triple Qs, guys. This is tech sector. So again, I always start with tech sector because tech is the largest market cap weighting in the S&P 500. The big cap tech stocks really make up a big portion of the S&P 500. So I always start there, and then we'll work our way into some individual trade ideas. I got a lot of interesting things I want to show you guys in this video, so stay tuned. On the tech sector, really on the hourly chart is really I'm narrowing down to. We've got an uptrend line here. All right, you can see this is the entire rally, or really that started back in the beginning of the year. And you can see we've got support, kind of hit support right there, and we're coming down to that again. Again, that's the trend line to watch, so I don't see any break of the trend line as of now. I don't see any real indication that that trend is going to break necessarily, so we'll keep an eye on that. Now, if we do break trend, then the levels that I would look for show up more on the daily chart, and ultimately I would look for probably a pretty swift move down to at a minimum down to the 200-day moving average, and there's some support here about 293, and then ultimately probably a back test of the bear trend that's been in place since 2021. Okay, so that's what we'd be looking for on the downside, and anything beyond that, if you break back within the trend, then we've got most likely a very strong impulsive bear leg, another bear leg coming. So, but until we see that, we would just be looking for a breakdown for a back test of the trend line. And taking a look at the NASDAQ futures, you can see upward price channel here as part of the rally. Again, I think we're probably coming down to test that trend line again. It looks like it, but we've been in this consolidation range, just kind of chopping around. So again, until I see a break one way or the other, bullish if we break to the upside, bearish if we break to the downside. I don't have a real indication of where we go. I mean, you can see momentum has been trending lower, but recently so has price. We've been making lower lows. So there's no divergence, just trending lower momentum, trending lower price. We need to see definitively which way this one breaks. Okay, talking about tech, I see Google is actually selling off decently hard. You can see here on the daily chart, there's your bear trend in Google. You can see we basically resistance. This is when, back in early 2022, when this one started its bear trend. And sure enough, hit that resistance and, we've sold off. So that bear trend is still intact on Google. All right. And if I look at it over here on Alphabet, same kind of look. Okay, you can see Google has two different shares that it trades, but there it is, resistance. Popped over the 200-day right there, only to be sold really impulsively, actually. It's pretty impulsive selling after earnings. So that's bearish to read that. Now, that's just Google. I don't see that necessarily in the others. So what I'd really want to watch for, especially, is Apple. Okay, Apple is the largest stock in the S&P 500. It is in a bull trend right now, just, short-term bull trend. I do think this is a bear market rally. I still believe that. As you can see, Apple is making a series of lower highs, okay, and lower lows. You can see we're kind of lower low, there's a low. So we're in a downtrend. That has not changed. We will not know whether we're, in a new bull market until we've made a new higher high and broken out of this downtrend. But as of right now, we are still in a downtrend. So this could stop any time, this rally. And it's pretty impulsive, so it does look like a bear market rally. You can see all the rallies that we've had in Apple in this larger downtrend have pretty much been, very impulsive. Now, they can be major rallies. Here's one from top to bottom, 34%. This one so far has rallied about 26%. So maybe it has a little more to go, maybe not. We'll keep an eye on that. Decent resistance right there at about 157.50. We did tag that the other day after earnings. And so far we're topping out. If I look at the hourly chart, all right, there's an upward price channel. So we need to see a definitive breakdown out of this channel for a sell signal. Okay, I don't see any indication in terms of divergence telling me that's going to happen right now. So we just sit back and watch. Also on the daily, one thing to look at, you can see the PPO starting to turn down. So maybe we're going to consolidate here for a little while. What I would look for first on the hourly chart is negative divergence to show up on the hourly. Okay, and then once you get that, we'll probably start looking for the sell signal and the PPO to cross over. Everyone, if you're interested in this as a skill set, I can't promise I'm going to make you, more profitable. I can't promise you I'm going to make you an expert trader overnight or anything like that. That does take time and experience. But what I can do is give you a jump start on some of that education. So if you're interested, check out my stock market technical analysis course. Link in the description below. It's priced affordable, and I think there's a lot of value in that course. Check it out. Okay, speaking of the potential for a breakdown, let's take a look at the VIX. Ultimately on the VIX, I'm zeroing out on this daily chart. I'm seeing we have a bullish falling wedge pattern. We have bullish divergence on the daily chart. We've got basically a setup. This is a bullish setup. It's an indication that the VIX is about to spike. Now, I don't know if it's going to spike now or maybe we get another leg down and then spike. That's really hard to say, but we'll keep an eye out for a breakout of this wedge. And if you see the VIX starting to run and spike, that's likely going to indicate that the market is, either selling off impulsively or will sell off impulsively. So keep an eye on that. All right, here's some individual trade ideas. JP Morgan, all right, financials. It looks weak, all right. Bearish rising wedge, nice clean wedge. We're pretty much at the apex of the wedge. Earnings is out of the way, so we don't necessarily have earnings risk. We're just waiting. Ultimately, if you're not short this thing already, we need to see that sell signal, a breakdown of the wedge. Negative divergence on the daily. It's everything we need for a setup. For my target, you probably get a small reaction right in here. It looks like there's minor support. Right. Oh, let me grab the right tool. Looks like there's minor support right about 135-ish, somewhere right there. Maybe a little reaction there. Much better support down at 129. So that for now would be the target. The projected target on this is actually much lower. Here's the widest part of the wedge. And I think this is projecting us for a move down to the 200, about 123. But there is some support there at 129. So that's what to look for. No sell signal yet. It looks like it's just starting to crack. You look on the hourly here. If I zoom in, you can see just starting to crack. So we'll keep an eye on that. If the selling shows up into the close and this thing sells off, that would be your sell signal. Next up, VIV. This is Visa. Okay, so on Visa, I'll flip to the daily chart. Now, I've talked about this one in the past because basically back in this price action right here, we were continuing to make a series of higher highs, kind of just popping up, making highs, but we had negative divergence right here on the daily momentum indicators. You can see that we basically have this trend line to watch right here. And this is basically your support. So you broke out, we back tested, and they undercut it a little, but it recovered and continued to move higher. However, I'm noticing that the divergence has not been negated. It's only been extended. So before I had it looking kind of like that, you can extend it out and we still have negative divergence. Also, we do have a bearish rising wedge pattern. So this to me looks like it's ready for a breakdown. What I would look for if you get that breakdown is probably a full backtest of that trend line again. That would be a move from where we're at right now of about 12%. No sell signal. We need to wait for that breakdown. But again, I'd be on watch for it. It does look like it's starting to get weak. There's also decent resistance right up here at about 236. You can see we've got several reactions. There's kind of a high. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 reactions, and we're just about there. So maybe this wants to grind a little bit higher up to this, up to that trend line. It's about 2.5% upside, and I think the downside really from here is about 10, 11%. So risk reward ratio is good. We just do not have a sell signal, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, Tesla. I did take a starting short position this morning on Tesla. It's not something it's a starting position. We don't have an actionable sell trigger, but we are trading right now. If I zoom in here on the daily, we've got the 200 simple moving average just overhead sitting at about 227. We are at resistance right now about 207.70. You can see here on the daily chart, that's former support. All right, there's a couple reactions there. Zooming out, not too much there, but several reactions here, and we're basically right there. So I think the upside is pretty limited, although, yeah, they could run up and pop, hit that 200-day. That's about 7% more to go on the upside. And again, that's why my position is only a starting position. It's not a very large position. It's just a starting, because I'm willing to give it room to run up and hit the 200. I don't expect us to get much beyond that. Big resistance just overhead, about 233.50. That's decent resistance up there as well. So the upside, I think, is limited. And then to the downside, if we start to break down, you've got, let me go to the hourly here. You've got this trend line. This is the rally trend line. I think we get a pullback, all right, down to there. And for now, that's about 11, 12% to the downside. And then ultimately, we break that trend. And I think we can easily come in for a back test. You've got some support here at 167.59. You've got a gap to fill down here. That would be my target, most likely would be that gap fill. And from where we're at now, that's a drop of about 30%. So again, this one, you got to give a little bit more room. I think having a smaller size position on Tesla makes sense, unless you're just a crazy gambler. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. On the hourly chart, again, negative divergence has been building for a while. You can see it right there. All right, so we got negative divergence. These are all divergent highs. So these are going to be the bag holders likely, and I think we're about to break down. Minimum move would be down to the trend line. I think that will likely happen very soon, possibly tomorrow, and then ultimately breaking this trend. Okay, semiconductors. They're looking pretty interesting for shorts. NVIDIA. This one, and I've talked about this for a while, we've got on the hourly chart negative divergence. There it is right there. Okay, again, this looks very similar to Tesla. We've been just marching up this upward channel. If I go to the daily chart, no real negative divergence on the daily, just the hourly. So it's not necessarily indicating a major pullback, but I think we could easily come back for a back test of some of these trendline support areas. Decent support here at about 209. You can see there's several reactions there. That was a key level I've had for a while. So 209. So at a very minimum, I think we're likely going to break down and hit that 209 area. That's a drop from where we're at now, about 7.5%. And then we could even come in for a full back test of this trend line. There's your bear market in NVIDIA. Okay, a lot of eyes are on that trend line. I think this has probably gone a little too far, and to come all the way down and for a back test would make a lot of sense. That could be a potential gain of about 20%. So it's starting to look good. There's no sell signal. We don't have a break of this channel, but we do definitely have some bearish setups. And as I kind of scan across some of these other semis, you can see here on the daily chart, again, there's kind of a bearish rising wedge on Broadcom, AVGO, negative divergence on the daily. All right, so this one actually has a very bearish setup. Looking at the hourly, no sell signal, but definitely, looks like it's about ready to break down. So that's that one. TSM I talked about a couple weeks ago. On this one, on the daily chart, negative divergence, all right, on your daily. And there it is on the RSI. We probably need to redraw this a little bit. You've got this trend line. I think that's probably a valid trend line down here. And it would kind of set this up for a move down to the bottom of the trend line. Possibly, you've got this bearish rising wedge. And so, again, this is on the daily chart. This is actually setting up for a break of this wedge. Qualcomm, here's the hourly chart. Obviously, negative divergence here on the hourly. We've got this price channel here. All right, support, hit that there. All right, and we're starting to crack. It's not impulsive, so I can't say that's a sell signal, but it's definitely starting. So again, these are looking weak. And then if I go to the daily chart on Qualcomm, you can see there we have a bearish PPO crossover right there. So yeah, these are all looking weak. It looks like what they're going to do is come in for that back test of this trend line, of their bear trend line there. Okay, that's kind of what I'm setting up for. So I'll keep an eye on it. I think it probably could make sense to take starting short positions on some of these. Some look better than others, but they're definitely looking weak. And yeah, that's how I feel about these right now. And we'll wrap up with gold, GDX. So here's the gold miners. Support really was about $30. You can see as I zoom out, there's on this daily chart, this is resistance through here, then it was support, and it's held support for the last few days, and it's now cracking. So that's a sell signal in my mind. That's setting this up for a move down to about 28.86, 29, somewhere right in there is decent support. And potentially, okay, just potentially, I would say we could get a move all the way down to somewhere right around here, down to about 27.30. The 200-day moving average is down there. You know, we get down in here, I think there's decent support. So I'll most likely look to be a buyer and go long down there. But for right now, I think we got a little more downside. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up. If you haven't joined the private member group, feel free to join up. I'm throwing out lots of additional trade ideas in there. It's $5 a month. Pretty affordable. Check out the course if you haven't done so. Lots of good additional things. There's items in there I teach that I don't teach on my daily videos. And I also give you guys a checklist of really what to look for good probability setups. So check that out if you're interested. Link in the description below.